Hi book besties and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tia if you are new here, and today we're doing little cozy videos. So we are on the bed because I am wearing pyjamas, guys, but obviously you can't see that properly, and I can't bring the camera any more down, but I promise you I'm clothed. Anyway, we're having a cozy vibes today because I am just feeling tired, so I am fresh faced, fresh out the shower, sitting on the bed. We're getting cozy because we're going to be talking about my 5-star reads of 2025. So grab a snack, grab a drink, and let's get cozy. So my first 5-star read of 2025, so I started reading properly this year, back into reading, and it was Verity by Colleen Hoover. Obviously these are what I gave 5-star at the time, guys, so looking back, some of them I would rate a little bit lower, vice versa. There's some 4 stars that I would rate higher, but these were my ratings at the time. So at the time, I love Verity. I wasn't seeing the plot twist coming. It's basically about an author who had a crash, and she's basically bedbound, I suppose. She can't talk, she can't move, literally nothing, and she is a really best-selling author, and she has an unfinished series. So the husband brings in this other author who isn't very well known or anything like that, and says that your writing style is very similar, she wanted you to finish these books, so she really loved your writing style. So they basically hire her to finish these books, and they say she's got so much work, unfinished work in her study, better off coming here for a few days, staying with us and sorting through it, and you can go out at your own pace. So she's like, okay. Obviously I wouldn't say it's a thriller, but it's a thriller type romance book is what I would call it, and obviously I'm not going to spoil it, but obviously there's a film coming out with Anne Hathaway, which is exciting. Can't wait to see that. But yeah, there is plot twist after plot twist in this, and me personally didn't see it coming, and I feel like I can predict a plot twist sometimes, but yeah, at the time it really got me on the edge of my seat. Next is Ugly Love, again by Colleen Hoover. I was in a Colleen Hoover phase. This one is brother's best friend, trauma rep. So the MMC is obviously the brother's best friend. He's a pilot, he's had some trauma, and basically starts up a friends with benefits type thing with his best friend's sister, and says I don't want it to go any further than this, it's literally going to be this, and she sort of has to come in, break his walls down, and because there's other trauma there, yeah, this made me cry. This was actually really a beautiful story, very sad, and it was probably Colleen Hoover's spiciest book, I would say. There wasn't huge spice in it, but from what all of our other books, there's a lot more than normal. Next, we did a whole 180 and we did Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I loved this. This is a dark romance where the MMC is a masked TikToker. Basically he's on masked, does masked thirst traps, and the FMC is a nurse, and she basically in her spare time, her breaks and stuff, she goes on this masked guy's TikTok, and then she starts commenting. He sees her and he thinks, okay, I'm gonna stalk her basically, and yeah, he does, and it sort of goes from there. There's very spicy scenes. Like I said, it's a dark romance, but it's a comedic dark romance. This is very funny. I was literally giggling out loud, and yeah, there's a cat too. That sounds like it could be an innuendo, but no, there's a cat that is the FMC's cat, and the MMC basically adopts him, and it's just literally the cutest thing. Then we had Powerless, and also Fearless as well in the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. Like I said, there's some books that I would look back on and think that would be a 5-star. So Powerful, looking back now, would be a 5-star, but like I said, we're going from what Tia was feeling at the time. So Powerless, this was my first romantasy. This is YA, so there's no spice involved at all in this, but that's not to say there isn't any romance. So this follows Payden, who is an ordinary in a world full of people with basically powers, and she has to pretend that she's got powers so that she doesn't get killed. Ends up saving Kai, the prince's life at MMC, and gets thrust into these trials. So you've got that trials there, then you've obviously got this romance subplot, you've got yearning, oh, like Kai Asa is perfect. And then obviously you've got Fearless following that, so that is the last book in the series. Obviously you've just got Fearful, the novella that's just come out, which I still need to read. But Fearless, you got to see a little bit more romance, I would say. Obviously it's following the stories, there's a plot twist that they have to sort of like go through in the book, which is the book's premise. But you have a lot more of that romance and yearning as well, which is why I think it got the 5-star for me. Then we had Fourth Wing, Iron Flame and Onyx Storm. These were all 5-star. This was perfection. This is by Rebecca Yarros. Every single book made me cry, guys, like sobbing my heart out. But it is so beautiful. This is a story, if you don't know it, I feel like everyone and their mum knows this, but we follow Violet, our FMC, who there's like different quadrants, basically meant to be a scribe. Not the way it works, gets thrown into the dragon's quadrant, so dragon rider quadrant, sorry. So she essentially has to become a dragon rider. You have to go through all these trials before you actually get to be picked by a dragon. So you don't pick the dragon picks you if you get like chosen, I suppose. Some people don't, some people die. It's a very dangerous quadrant to be in, the most dangerous. And then obviously we have our MMC Xaden, who is perfection. And basically, yeah, he doesn't like her, like she don't like him. There's a very like hated thing, but obviously, you know, that evolves. And also there is like, I sort of say like disability rep too, because you find out very, very early on that Violet is not weak, but like physically, her bones are a lot more fragile. Like she's just a lot more fragile than like what you'd say like the average body is. So obviously she has to find different ways to achieve things. Then we had Twisted Liars by Anna Huang. I love this. This was my favourite in the series. Christian Harper is just a man. So obviously this is interconnected standalones, these ones, and the fourth book basically follows our FMC, who is trying to be like an influencer, and our MMC, who is a billionaire, and basically they start a like fake dating relationship arrangement that is beneficial to both of them, in order for her to get more following and for him to have someone like when he goes to events like on his arm and stuff like that. And yeah, it is just, he's morally grey, he's perfect, he watches her through the cameras, but it's romantic, and he washes her hair for her, and I love this. He was my favourite twisted man. Then we have A Full Star, which is the last book in the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver. Love me a cowboy. This one was Griffin Sinclair, which is perfect. So this is brother's best friend. You know, there's a theme here, guys. I love a brother's best friend. But it follows Nadia, who is trying to be like training to be a vet, and follows Griffin, who has a lot of like past trauma. He's very, very grumpy. This is like grumpy sunshine, and she's basically looking after his dog, like what will be his dog. And yeah, it sort of goes from there. They take like a little camping trip. It is just chef's kiss. We then have A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Silver Flames. These were all 5-star. The first book and the novella just didn't quite hit that 5-star mark. But ACOTAR is a very, very big series, basically follows this human who is thrust into the Fae world after she does something wrong, so she has to sort of like pay back a debt. She's thrust into this Fae world, has to complete these trials and stuff like that. Obviously the books that I rated 5-star was the second, third and the fourth, and I loved all of these. We then have Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. So this is the second book in the Into Darkness duet, even might be a trilogy actually. I think there might be another book out, but this follows Nico, who is a biker. He's in the mafia, and he basically is not stalking his childhood crush, but she is like a cam girl, and he follows her on there, and he's her best client basically. She doesn't know it's him, and then yeah, he wants her to meet up with him. She eventually does, and obviously it goes from there. She doesn't like him because of something that happened in the past, which obviously unravels. He's trying to get out of the mafia, and yeah, this was perfection. Then we have The Fake Date Agreement by Ember Nicole. This one was actually an arc. It was a Why Choose. So the FMC's boyfriend cheats on her, and she finds out on like the big screen of like a hockey game, and these 3 hockey players find her, and they decide to make a little arrangement, like, we'll help you make him jealous if you could like pretend to be our girlfriend so that you keep all these puck bunnies off of us, basically. It's curvy girl rep, so she is very, very insecure, and yeah, this was delicious. This was my first Why Choose, I believe, and I ate it up, and this is where the Why Choose all started, and it was just up and up from here. Straight after that one, we went into another Why Choose, which is another arc, which is Whisper Pretty Lies by C.S. Berry. This was perfection, but ends on a cliffhanger, and the new one is out, I believe, at the end of October. But this follows the FMC, who is, I suppose, I don't know if she's new at the school, but she's going to this school, and she's got a new stepbrother and moves in with him, and for reasons the MMC thinks, he hates her, and he wants to make her life misery, and him and his 2 best friends basically bully her, and yeah, they bully her. There's a Why Choose situation, so it's a bully romance, a stepbrother romance, and a Why Choose as well. Okay, Jack's just interrupted, so we're gonna have to film while he's in the room, as long as he keeps quiet. Anyway, next we've got Phantasma and Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This was like a fantasy romance mixed in with trials and games. So Phantasma follows Ophelia, who basically, her sister's gone missing. She goes to try and find her sister to go into these games, and she has to go in them, and she's not really obviously got much knowledge of what the trials are, sorry, the more like trials, and she makes friends with this phantom, who then makes a deal with her to help her through that, and the spice in this was amazing, hence why it's a 5-star. But then Enchantra come along, and I know most people prefer Phantasma, but I actually preferred Enchantra, and this followed Rorington and Genevieve, and she goes to this estate, doesn't realise that they've been playing this game for like centuries, and gets thrown into these games, has to perform like a marriage of convenience, if you will, with Rorington, the MMC, to be able to compete in these games but also stay alive, because otherwise they'll just like kill her, because she's basically like a human. I suppose they're humans too, kind of. Well, he's like a shadow wraith, and they basically play these games, which is like hide and seek every year, and they have to try and find and kill each other, but they come back alive like the next year, if that makes sense. They go into like hell, basically, is where they spend the year until the next games, and Genevieve and Rorington have to obviously survive these games for her to be able to win. Otherwise, if she dies for like good, because she's not in the family, essentially. And this was amazing. The MMC has piercings everywhere. It's curvy rep. Obviously he's got shadow magic, and it was just a really, really good time. Then we have Flawless and Heartless in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver. These are cowboy romances. I actually liked Heartless even better than Flawless, but obviously the highest rating I can give is a 5-star anyway. The first one follows Rhett Eaton, who is a bull rider, and essentially he's like not throwing his life away, but he's sort of like a bit of a bad boy, not caring and stuff. So his like manager hires his daughter to basically babysit him, and she has to make sure that he keeps out of like the headlines of anything bad or anything like that. And he's obviously very annoyed that this little ray of sunshine is following him around, and he's very, very grumpy. But yeah, he's an absolute gentleman. He's perfect. And then Heartless follows Cade Eaton, who is a single dad, and he's trying to find a nanny for his son, not having any luck. And then Willa comes on, who is Summer, the FMC from Flawless's character, her best friend, and he basically hires her because he needs someone to help. So she's looking after his son, and then they've got a lot of like sexual chemistry there. There's an age gap romance. He's the grumpiest person, but she slowly brings him out of a shell. There's a porch scene which is so good, and yeah, I cannot wait to read the rest of that series, because I feel like it's just going to keep going up and up and up, because I can't wait for Theo Silver's book. Then we had Zodiac Academy. So we had the first book, The Awakening, Ruthless Fae, The Reckoning and Shadow Princess, which were all 5-star, and that's as far as I've got with the series. Currently reading The Awakening as told by the boys. Don't know if it's going to be a 5-star yet. I'm too early in. I'm only like 13% in to tell you. But this follows Darcy and Tori, who are 2 twins, basically get thrust into the world of Fae. So they don't know they're Fae and that they're the long lost princesses of Celeria, and they get thrust into this world where there is 4 celestial heirs who are meant to be taken over, and they are battling or fighting against them, I suppose, because they obviously want to take over the throne. Then you've got these 2 twins that don't know anything and basically just come to take their crown, is what they think. And there's like elemental powers, there's a professor-student relationship, there is fated mates, there's literally everything you can think of, like dragons, vampires. This world is such a big world, but not for the faint-hearted. Like, you will be crying, you will be hating every single character along the way, but also loving them. And yeah, it's a very, very big world, and there's loads of spin-off series as well, so beware if you do want to go into that, but I highly, highly recommend. Then we have Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas. This one was an unexpected 5-star. I thought it was going to be a 5-star, but for different reasons. So from what I knew about the book was that it was about 5 brothers, and she had a one-night stand basically with one of them in the middle of the night. She doesn't know who it was. It was dark. She didn't know who it was, and what I knew about the book was that she goes around to the other brothers and does the do with them to try and find out who it was that first night. But when you actually read it, it's not actually like that. She does have the one night stand, but she doesn't just bounce from brother to brother. Like, she just gets closer to the brothers and then happens to have sexual intercourse, I suppose, with them whilst happening. But it makes it sound like a very, very spicy book, but it's actually not that spicy. There is like quite a few spice scenes, which obviously are top tier, but the actual message of the book was really, really nice. I feel like that's going to ruin it if I say what the rep is, but it ended up being a lot deeper than what I thought it was going to be, and I think that's why it was like a different kind of 5-star for me. Then we had Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh, which is the Boys of Tom and series, which I feel like everyone knows about. I've only read the first book so far because I haven't brought myself to be finishing it, but also they're very, very chunky books as well. This follows Shannon and Johnny. So Shannon goes to this new like private school. It's set in Ireland, and she ends up on her first day meeting Johnny, the MMC. He is a rugby player. Rugby is basically his whole life. He has sustained an injury, which is putting like strain on his would-be rugby career, if you will. Shannon doesn't have a very good home life. She's not had a very good upbringing, like with her past school and stuff like that. So she's trying to sort of like balance that whilst balancing school. He's obviously balancing his injuries and his rugby, but also feels like drawn to her and feels like he wants to like protect her, and yeah, this made me cry, and I feel like the books are just going to get a lot more traumatic and emotional, but I can't wait. Then we had Where We Bloom by Kristen Proby. This was an arc. This was pleasantly surprising. I feel like I don't remember much of this, but I know I had a good time at the time. But it follows our billionaire MMC and our FMC have a one-night stand. I think it's just going to be a one-night thing. Turns out he's actually her best friend's brother. So she ends up seeing him a lot at like family events and stuff, and they have like stolen kisses and stuff, but he doesn't want anything more. So she feels like a bit put out like that because he's like the perfect man. But in reality, I think he just has like commitment issues basically. And yeah, this was very, very cute. He's like the sweetest. He does the sweetest things for her. I spoke about this in my wrap up in great detail when I did my wrap up, but this was like a really cute, fluffy romance that was completely unexpected. Then we have Almost Ravaged by Abby Millsaps. This is the first book in the Men of Evercrisp Orchard, and I cannot wait for the second book. I think I'm getting the arc of it this month. This was an arc as well, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was a why choose. If you can't tell, I'm in my why choose era. I'm absolutely loving it, eating it up, and this was pleasantly surprising. This follows our FMC, who is going to a new school. She has basically been in love with her foster brother, who is like her brother's best friend since he came to live with them at like 11 years old or something, and he's been in love with her, but it's always been like the stolen glances, like it's never become anything, and she's basically like kind of given up on it now, but he has not. He is very possessive and territorial. She then gets like a TA assistant job, I suppose, and while she's going to the school, and ends up having a situation with her professor, and then also in comes the professor's best friend Noah, who is aka what they call B Daddy, which will make sense like when you read it, but it follows that. There's like a massive plot twists, and it's just so good. This is like a really fun time, but also has like a little bit of that emotional side too, because there's like things going on with each character. Then we had Black Card Black by JD Midnight. This was a novella, and this is basically purely smart, basically. So there is this black card that women can give out to other women, like they pass it on basically, and it's, you call the number and basically you get kidnapped, like consensually kidnapped for a night by these three men, and you do whatever you want in this room for one night. And I feel like I think a lot of women pass it on to like other women whose husbands are like cheating, or they're like, that seems to be the consensus and like what's going on in this book. So yeah, this is basically like pure smart, but it was absolutely wonderful. Then we had Hold of the Reins by Paisley Hope, another cowboy romance. This is the Silver Pines Ranch. It's the only one I've read in the series so far, but this is another brother's best friend. You know, I don't actually know what the whole plot was, other than there was like, basically it was like a forbidden love. Like she wanted him, he wanted her. They decided, okay, let's just do it for one night, get it out of our system. It never stays at one night. But apart from that, I can't actually remember what the plot was. I just remember there was like a lot of spice in this, but I had a good time. Like I said, it was purely, it's 5-star on the vibes, guys, like whatever the vibes were feeling at the time. Then we had Echoes by Steph Macker, which is the second book in the Dance with My Demons series. Read this whilst doing the audiobook as well. I think if you don't read or don't listen to the audiobook, I don't think I would have rated it 5-star, but the audiobook makes it. Corvin King makes this. It's dual narration, so you have 3 male narrators and 1 female narrator, and they absolutely all nail it. This is a why choose situation. Basically these teenagers, I suppose like late teens, are in this like asylum / rehabilitation centre where they've all done bad things, but they've decided to put them in the centre. They're not going to prison, and it's like very much, it's sort of like a prison though, kind of, but it's like a secret society, and that's basically the plot, is like the secret society thing. And yeah, you sort of like, as the books go on, you unravel things. Then we have Handsome Devil by LJ Shen, which is the last book in the Forbidden Love series, and this was my favourite. This is Marriage of Convenience. So the MMC, his assistant Gia, the FMC, they decided to do a marriage of convenience. He basically is going to help her mum out at this like treatment centre, and she is going to provide him as being a wife, and she's going to provide him with an heir because he wants someone that's like smart, and he knows that she's going to take good care of like what would be his heirs, but he has like 0 morals. Like, I'm talking 0. He's not morally grey, he's morally black, and he is a multi-billionaire. He has like not any feelings, but yeah, he basically like does not give a shit about anyone. Then we have Gloves Off, which is the latest book in the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer. I heard really mixed reviews of this, so I wasn't going into it with high hopes, but it delivered. This is a marriage of convenience again. Alexei, our MMC, basically needs a green card to stay in Canada. He's from, or his parents are like from Russia, and our FMC needs to get married to get her inheritance. So they form a plan, and they hate each other. They despise each other, but they have to keep up this charade that they are obviously in love and are married. And yeah, there was a lot of banter, there's a lot of like hate, and it was just perfect, really. Then we have Burn Bright, which is the Krista and Becca Ritchie's new spin-off series, The Cobalt Empire. This is a spin-off series of like the Addicted to You series, like the Calloway sisters, and I haven't read any of those books yet, but I got this one as an ARC and I was pleasantly surprised. It's a bit of a chunky book. I think it was like over 600 pages, but I was pleasantly surprised. So our MMC is part of this big family. I think he's like one of 7 siblings, and he's not having a good time. He's really not sure what he wants to do. He wants to sort of like disappear from everyone, and then our FMC is trying to be a doctor, trying to navigate life, had a really bad upbringing, has been living in a car for the past 2 years, and they form an unlikely friendship, and they are just perfect, guys. Like, this had me sobbing. I was literally crying so much at this, but it was so beautiful. And then finally, our most recent one, we had Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I went into this having really high expectations, and the first, like, I want to say 7 or 8 chapters, I was not enjoying it. It was very slow to get into, and I was very confused as well. Didn't really understand what was going on, didn't understand the hype. Then when Kingfisher, the MMC, finally got introduced, everything started to unravel, and it just all went from there. And then I was absolutely eating it up from like 30% on. So this follows Saris, our FMC, who, given like Avatar vibes, but basically thrust into the Fae world, as these people are always human. And she's sort of like an alchemist, so she can do stuff with like this metal quicksilver thing. And yeah, you don't really understand what's going on to start with. And obviously I can't really say much without giving it away, but that's all you really need to know to go into it. And then she's sort of like helping Kingfisher and the Fae people out. Kingfisher is perfect. He has got like the banter between them, like I was literally laughing out loud. It was so funny. Probably like one of the wittiest MMCs I've ever met, and he has such a way with words. I just released a Quicksilver reading vlog, which I think this is going to go up the week after, so you can watch that for my thoughts like live while I was reading the book. But yeah, this, from 30% I was having a really good time, and yeah, the last hour and a half I was locked in and obsessed. So that is my 5-star reads of 2025, and we've still got 3 months to go, well 3.5 months to go, so I'm hoping we're going to get a lot more 5-star reads, because I've got some good books on my TBR and I feel I have very high hopes for them. But thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and you can follow me on BookTok and Bookstagram at tias_book_corner, and I will see you guys next time.